Good evening, good noobs.
Good evening. Good evening. Give me one moment. Um, I admitted everyone who's in the waiting room. Just doing some tech stuff and grabbing some questions. Um, how is everyone this evening?
Brother Harding, what's going on, sir?
Hey, what's up, brother Robert?
Still living the dreams. Brother Coates, big brother Coates in the house. Oh, oh, brother Dwight Martin. My whole interview is going to be around this gentleman right here. DY, my whole interview. So get ready to hear his name several times, guys.
Okay. All
Hey,
right.
wait.
Go
And
ahead.
just to have some fun. And because the brother Dwight, the handoff was to brother Coates when he was in uniform when I gave him my check. So that's always been my life legacy. I never forget.
You can give me a check too, Robert.
Brothers, good evening.
Good
All
evening.
right.
Am I?
So,
Well, can I
good
finish speaking
evening.
to all my charter brothers? Robert, how you doing?
All
Robert,
right, just fine. Yourself?
Dwight.
That guy.
I'm doing well.
You see, I'm freeing myself, Dwight, but we'll talk about that later.
Um, just wanted to give you guys, first of all, thank you each for participating. Um, the object of this and the way this came about was decided to use technology to create an electronic archival record. An archive is a record, but we wanted to do it in this fashion, as I stated, because of the um, advancements in technology. We figured let's do something that we can keep, we can store in a database that others can go back and review and hear the actual words instead of just reading something on a page. So that's the reason that this came about. Um, the purpose of tonight's interview, we've had interviews with Colonel William Bailey, Mr. Larry D. Turner, Eastern Province current Polemarch Robert Maddox, Grand Historian of Kappa Alpha Psi, Kevin P. Scott, um, and now with you gentlemen, with you esteemed guests as the um, charter, the signatories for the Woodbridge Alumni Chapter. Current Polemarch DK Boyd, the California Boy, is optional. He may join or he may not. But did you guys have any questions before we get started?
I just want to say thank you for putting this together, man. And it is just a true honor for me to be surrounded by my senior brothers right here that guided me, helped me up through my 28 years of Cap Alpha Psi Woodbridge Alumni Chapter. So, brothers, much deference and respect to you, my big brothers. Thank you very much, sir.
Bro, we all got 28 years. We all.
Well, I literally have 28 years because when the chapter was founded, I went over fall 98. So, so it's significant for me in that sense. Um, just want to let you guys know. The only thing I'm going to ask each of you individually is your intro. When did you come into Kappa? Things of that nature. The questions that I sent, feel free to chime in. This is a free flowing format. As I put in the email, this is a conversation. All I'm here to do is just add a little guidance, but we really want to hear. We don't have to go all the way in depth, but give us some color and some background. Um, so we've got Brother Dwight. His microphone is off. Asked to unmute.
Hey, did Brother Bryant try to join in?
I sent him the information, texted to him, and also sent it to him via email.
Okay, because I sent it to him a few minutes ago.
Okay,
So he
so
was supposed also, because I was communicating with him a few minutes ago. So he should have tried to get in. I was just making sure that he,
let me
you know.
let me see if there's anybody in the waiting room.
I'm calling them now, noobs.
Okay. Oh, yep. There is someone in the waiting room, and they are now
Brother Bryant Robert, are you on the call, sir?
Okay, listen, man, I'm trying to get in. I had a signal that waiting on the host to let me in, and I didn't. I don't know what's happening.
Hold on, sir. Are you on your cell phone? 703-868.
Yeah, I'm on my cell phone right now.
Okay, he's on his cell phone.
Yeah, he's in. He's
Okay.
He's admitted. He's on the list. He has to unmute and take off his.
Yeah, unmute, good brother, and show your face.
Yeah.
And you don't get to give a speech.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
See, I can't say that. Y'all much senior than I am. I could never say those words to y'all. But please, Brother Bryant, show your face and unmute, sir.
We're not going to take a vote on that?
Yeah.
Arthur Ray, where are you, boy?
Let me see.
I have you still on the cell phone. You're still muted, sir.
Robert, how is your weather these days, boy? Because we got it bad up here.
Oh, we just didn't get as much snow as you got. We got the cold. We were supposed to get 24 inches. And then as the day went around, it changed from snow to ice. So we got plenty of ice sitting out there waiting for us, but no snow.
We got
okay, Brother Harden, Brother Coates.
Yeah.
Can y'all hear me?
We can't see you.
But
okay,
we do hear you.
Yep, we can't see him, but we can hear. Okay. You guys ready?
Oh,
All
yeah.
right, so Brother Kevin, I mean, I know you
Yes,
guys
sir.
have the questions. We'll start with our names, everyone to go around the horn. But I think you could kind of volley and throw up the question, and then we can all speak to the question.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep.
Just the early alert that I got a hard stop at 9, so I got to jump off. So I'll do as much as I can.
Okay. All right. And we've got to edit that. Mark 839. Good evening to everyone. My name is Kevin A.K.A. Williams Current, historian for the Woodbridge Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated for fraternal year 2026. Tonight's guests of A Kappa Moment, their esteemed gentlemen who are the signatories, the charter members for Woodbridge Alumni Chapter. So we're both honored, and this is a privilege. We're going to do is start off by going around the horn, and I like anyone who wants to, please share your name, when you became a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, and your chapter of initiation. Floor is yours, gentlemen. Whoever wants to go first.
Robert Harding, Alexandria Fairfax Alumni Chapter, Spring 1989.
Good evening, brothers. Good evening, brothers. Brother Arthur Bryant, Alexandria, Natchitoches, Louisiana, Alumni Chapter, spring of 1978.
Ooh, okay. Thank you. Welcome.
Jim Coates, C Chapter, Howard University, spring 1975.
Okay.
Dwight Martin, San Antonio alumni, 1976.
All right.
Hey, Dwight.
And bringing up the rear, Brother Robert Palmer, May 9th, 1987, Rowan University, Ada Delta. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you, gentlemen. If you see me smiling, because that's pretty dope. That's literally, yeah, that's pretty impressive. So we've also got another guest who just joined us, our current poll mark, DK Boyd. Sir, if you get a chance, please unmute and show us, and welcome. Mr. Polmark, would you like to say a few words?
Hey, hey, just good evening, brothers. This is a very special moment, Brother Williams. Thank you for putting this together for our charter members. That's a lot of history right here on this on this screen. So just looking forward to the conversation.
All right. Now, gentlemen, Mr. Brian, because you've got a hard stop, I'm gonna let you set it off, and everybody feel free to chime in. Brother Brian, what originally drew you to Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated?
Hey, listen, brothers, it's a privilege to be here this evening, but I started my quest for membership actually in college at Southern University. Uh, Having being on an academic scholarship, I was a little bit afraid to jeopardize my GPA, which had to remain at 3.5 in order to keep my scholarship. So I knew I would be a Kappa one day, but it just wouldn't be then. After graduating in '75 and working 2.5 years, in my third year, I did pledge. Third year of being in an alumni status, I pledged the Alexandria, Louisiana alumni chapter. Pledged that chapter. It was a mid-sized chapter, and there were only three of us. And immediately after I pledged, I was transferred from Louisiana to North Carolina, where I also became a chartered member of a chapter, Asheville,
Okay.
North Carolina. And I was there for a few years, from 78 to 80, and moved to Montgomery, Alabama, where I joined the Montgomery Alumni Chapter, and was there for a few years before joining the Tuskegee Alumni Chapter, right 40 miles down the road or so. And when I left Tuskegee, I moved to Georgia, and I was privileged enough to have the inspiration to become the charter and pole mark of Alpharetta, Smyrna, just outside of Atlanta.
Okay.
So I was the chartering pole mark of that chapter, and wasn't there very long before moving from that area.
Okay.
And and moving to Woodbridge, I joined the Alexandria Fairfax Alumni Chapter, and was a member of that for a few years before uh, becoming a chartered member, meeting the good brothers that's on this call with us, where we made some lasting friendships forever,
Mm-hmm.
and we had some tremendous times in the Woodbridge Alumni Chapter. So just still proud of that moment, and look forward to that chapter continuing to just move even higher in Kappa.
Okay, so we got a Triple Crown winner among us. Yeah, that's pretty that's historic, and yeah, it not many people can say that. And so you having that experience of chartering multiple chapters and being a chartering pole mark of a chapter, it gives you a unique perspective. So let me just ask you a brief question. What do you see?
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I really actually cut my Kappa career without adding my current status, and that being here where we are, Fort Washington Alumni Chapter. And interestingly enough, I am not a chartered member of Fort Washington because I was maybe a week after the charter was signed, but I am on record as being the first member to join the new charter
Okay.
of the Fort Washington Alumni Chapter. So didn't want to leave that out. Oh, sorry to cut you off, brother, but you can proceed.
Okay. So what I was saying is that it gives you a unique perspective from both being a chartering member and a chartering Homer, because one is from a being in the seat in the audience, and the other is being behind the podium. So if you can briefly give us some insight as to what that looks like.
Well, leadership from any perspective is always a tremendous challenge. But for Kappa Alpha Psi and leading a group of men, and you really don't lead them because they're all leaders within their own right, but you try to set a tone of collaboration, of brotherhood and love, and that's what we try to do at Woodbridge and wherever I've gone. I've tried to uh, not necessarily lead, but to collaborate and partner with my fellow brothers that we might do what we thought was best in the name of Kappa, in the name of the communities that we serve. So that's been kind of the leadership piece, and the other piece of that, and Brother Robert Palmer can join me with this one, is from the internal organizational structure, jumping in and where you fit in and doing the very best that you can wherever you are. And for he and I, that what ended up being God right, both of us, which was recognized on the province level and then on the national level as being the God right chairman of the year. So, just not just being on the roads, but getting in and doing a job where you have passion and where you can make the most difference. So that's a real big part of being Kappa. Getting in where you fit in and doing the very best job that you can do while you're in those positions.
Absolutely. Thank you. And that's a natural segue to Brother Palmer. Same question right at you, sir. What drew you to Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated?
What drew me into Kappa Alpha Psi, it was kind of simple. It was based on achievement, discipline, and the caliber of men that represented that when I was in high school.
Okay.
My fourth grade teacher was an Omega, and we was in an honors class, and he was very strict, and he was Mr. Johnson. And that was the first time of my introduction to Kappa, introduction to organizations or fraternities. But when I got into middle school and then into high school, that's when my eyes really opened up to the men of distinction. And these gentlemen, I mean, I have to giggle because I'm now visualizing them just walking the halls. And, I was an athlete, student athlete. And, when you're a freshman, you're the best freshman. And when you're a sophomore, you're the best. And now you're a junior, senior, you're getting your, and every year, me and my buddies like, yo, who are these cats? Who are these guys? And they always set themselves aside from everyone else. And they would always mentor us in the classrooms and on any athletic endeavor that we participated in. And the name that I will share is Mr. Jefferson. And I spoke to him one day and he started telling me about Kappa Alpha Psi. And again, it was all new to me. And I said, when I grow up, I'm gonna be just like you. And I wanted to be like Tony Dorsett. So that was my claim to my introduction into Kappa. And once I got on the undergrad, at Rowan University, was Glassboro at the time, they didn't actually have a Kappa chapter, believe it or not. And at the time, and I can share this because this is history, the Sigmas took me to my first, well, when I say first, in college, they took me to the Cowboys-Eagles game. At that time, I got to meet Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith is my cousin on my father's side. He brought me on the bus. I met Rodney Peete. I met the Moose, the tight end. Like, I'm there with Emmitt Smith on the Dallas Cowboys bus. So that's what the Sigmas did. Next, they took me to an NBA game. I'm a big Lakers fan. I got to see the Dr. J and the Lakers play. So I'm trying to get this story all together. And then my real showcase, they had a fashion show, the Sigmas and the Zetas. And I did my thing on stage and came into my own, as they would say. So they had a smoker. Now, this is public information. I hope you may want to cut this out. So I went to their smoker because they the hot shots. I'm from a northern school. They the hot shots on campus. And went through the little question and answer period. And it was like, Robert, that's great. What great responses. Is there anything you want to share with us? I'm like, no. Are you sure? No. Are you sure? No. It's like, okay. And as I was about to walk, I said, well, I do want to share one thing. And they said, what? I said, I'm going to go to a Kappa smoker. Lord have mercy. But as you can see, Kappa was always in my heart, and it actually leaked out in a Sigma smoker. So I say all that to say that I knew where my roots were. And again, I waited my time, and when we finally had a line, we actually started at the University of Penn with Delta Eta. That was our initiation. As we started going through the process, Trenton State College, Ada Delta picked up the charter. So my pledging process was unique. We started at the University of Penn with Delta Ada, and by the time we crossed Trenton State, Ada Delta, May 9th, 1987. And the rest is history. Thank you, good brothers.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mr. Harden, would you like to tell us what drew you to the Noble clan?
Well, when I was in college, I had no intentions of ever pledging anything. So it was about 10 years out before I even looked at it. And when my best friend decided that he was going to pledge cap and asked me to go along with him, well, I wasn't thinking of it then, but that put the idea in my mind. So then already into my professional life, one part of my job was reviewing professionals and whatever. As I looked through the papers and their resumes, I found that the guys who I had been dealing with by far the most and were the closest to were Kappas. So it was a very easy decision because I knew that I was bonding with Kappas unknowingly more than anything else. So I started the interview process down in Raleigh, North Carolina, but they didn't have a line for over 2 years. So when I moved up to Virginia with the promotion or whatever, I looked up the Kappa chapter, Alexander Fairfax, and so as a result, I pledged Alexander Fairfax, and then later on, when Brother Thompson asked me, he was running out on the street and asked me, he said, "I got a proposition for you," and started talking about starting the chapter, and I found that very appealing. So then worked closely with Brother Thompson and then also Brother Crewman starting the Woodbridge chapter, and I've been a member of Woodbridge ever since we started it back in 1998.
Thank you, sir. That's actually a pretty cool story. You know, let me ask you this. What was it like going from AF to being a charter member of Woodbridge?
Well, I had run my course with AF. My guys, my line brothers were running a line and they went on probation, and because I was out of town working the weekend that they did whatever they did, I wasn't there, so I started serving my own probation because I knew that I would have been there with them and a part of whatever they had done, which probably was overblown. Well, I was going to stay non-financial as long as they were because I considered that my penalty. But when Brother Thompson approached me and it appealed to me, I went back to my sands and asked them if it was okay with them or if they would have a problem. All of them pushed me to move on. And so with Woodbridge, one, I got to assist in starting a chapter. Two, we got to develop our own culture. And I found that the ways that Woodbridge and the way we developed in Woodbridge was much superior and much more to my liking than Alexandria Fairfax had been. So I'm so glad that we started the chapter and I did what I did to get it going, and very proud of what's been done since then.
By the way, before we go on to Brother Coates, what you just said about being superior to AF, I might have to clip that and send that to my buddy Chuck, who's in AF, just to
Which
let him know.
Chuck Parker?
Yeah.
Every
Everybody
time
knows Chuck Parker.
He considers us renegades anyway.
Every time Chuck Parker sees me, he pulls me to the side and tells me, he said, I give you the business otherwise, but man, I am so proud of what y'all have done like that. Because again, I love AF. I went over there. Heck, I was even honorary member there for a while, but I love what we've done with Woodbridge. And I tell them in a heartbeat when they say, "Oh, you're an AF." No, I'm not. I'm Woodbridge.
Well, thank you, sir. Mr. Coates.
Yeah, the city I grew up in South Carolina, there were a lot of folks in positions of leadership who, unbeknownst to me over the years, were Kappas. So that is where I probably got my first hint of what it was to be a part of this organization. And then after that, when you go to college and you have friends go to other colleges throughout, it just turns out that we all started looking at pledging, and that group that I was a part of, we all pledged Kappa. And then we're talking about 6 or 7 folks that pledged Kappa over maybe a 3 year period. So that is how I got into Kappa. It was just from homegrown influences and homegrown relationships that Kappa was the way we chose to go. I did have the opportunity, as other folks have talked about, pledge in other organizations because, as a matter of fact, at my college, you normally the first chance you get to pledge is your second semester, your sophomore year. And if you know anything about Z chapter, the motto is we ain't going to be around here for long. That means that they're going to be on campus as much as they're going to be on campus. And we were not on campus my sophomore year. So, there were other pulls coming in, come pledge here, come pledge here. And I didn't do it. And when I was a junior, I pledged when I was a junior. But I waited that year and was happy to be a part of the Sinister 14.
Thank you very much. Mr. Coates, I always associate you Kappa Foundation. When I see you, I think of Kappa Foundation and how you always keep us in line. So, Brother Dwight, if you'd like to pick up and tell us what drew you to Kappa Alpha Psi.
Something similar to the stories that was told before. In my neighborhood, I grew up, there was a series of Kappa men living in the area. And in high school, we had the football coach and the history teacher were both Kappa men. And so I was sort of blessed with their leadership and the traits that they exhibit. I was stationed at Fort Hood, Texas, where I met Brother Vern Trotter, who was a Kappa man, and asked about the alumni chapter, and he said they're in the process of trying to form one. So four guys that went to San Antonio alumni, and we were made Kappa through San Antonio alumni. And when I went to Korea, Germany, came to Woodbridge, and one day I picked up the newspaper, and I saw this article about an information meeting with Brother Harden and Brother Thompson listed. And so I attended that get together. And from that day on, it's been Woodbridge Alumni and the Kappa Foundation.
Well, so when you were stationed in Germany, sir?
I was stationed in Stuttgart.
Okay. Did you associate with any of the international brothers then when you were there?
Yes, sir. Yes, I did.
What's that experience like in Western Europe as opposed to being stateside?
Well, stateside, you really conform into one particular area, whereas in Germany, it was throughout the entire country. And you have brothers that were stationed at various locations all get together for meetings and events.
Yeah. I mean, I was in Germany from 86 to 89. And during that time, we had 5 different regions: Kaiserslautern, Frankfurt, Stuttgart, Mannheim, Heidelberg, Mannheim area, and then everything down south. And it's a great feeling to be over there and to have over 100 brothers that would come together once a month was a great feeling. But then on another level is something that a part of Elder Watson Diggs fought in World War I, and there's a story about him going across to meet other Kappas, these early Kappas. And so what we were doing was a reenactment of that. We had brothers all over Germany, and there we were getting together. It was a great feeling. I will always, you bring up, you focused on, you brought up Germany, and that's one of those things about Germany that you had the opportunity to, in some ways, recreate what the founder did when he went across Germany to meet with brothers. And then I'm sure Dwight, when you were there, to have Doc Palmer, who's a mainstay of of,
The alumni
the brothers
chapter.
in Germany. And he wasn't military. He was a surgeon at Heidelberg, at the Heidelberg Hospital. But part of his contract was that each year he could come, he would be off to go to the conclave, and he never missed. He didn't miss conclaves. So
Okay.
just talking
So
about Germany, I have to bring that up, and I appreciate everybody. I think most people talked about Ron Thompson too. You can't talk about Woodbridge alumni without mentioning Ron Thompson's name.
So, first of all, thank you both for that insight and providing those nuggets of information. So now we want to turn it to something that's closer to home, to the meat and potatoes. Basically, when did the idea of forming a chapter in Woodbridge, when did it take hold? When did it become something that was more than a conversation and something that you knew you wanted to manifest? What was that feeling like, where you had to make this serious pivot to this commitment to bringing it into fruition? Feel free, any of
The
Robert, you the
the
man.
the idea was, as he said, the idea was Brother Thompson. Thompson, after he left Alexandria Fairfax, and he was with Alexandria Fairfax, he had that idea. He knew me from Alexandria Fairfax, kind of, but he really didn't know me. But he used to be jogging down Dale Boulevard, and I would see him, he would see me, we'd speak, and it was his idea. He said, when he told me he had the idea, and I said, okay, we'll run with it. He said, there's somebody who I want you to meet, and that somebody was Brother Kroom. So we met over Brother Kroom's house, and Kroom told us from the start he would not. It said I'm at national headquarters. Okay, I'll see everything through there, but y'all got to do the work. And so Brother Thompson and I did the plans on everything. We sent letters out. We put ads around. I went through the directory and sent a letter to every brother between Fairfax County and Fredericksburg and some beyond, inviting them to this thing there. So we had this thing planned. And when we had the meeting, no one, the only people who knew what was going on were myself and Brother Thompson. We got there, we met the other brothers who were a part of the 26 that started there. Those who talked the most, asked the most questions at the thing there, those winded up being the officers, those being Brother Coates, who had questions, and Brother Bryant, who had questions. And from that original meeting, we took it from there and we expanded from the original meeting till the time that we started putting the stuff in was less than 2 months. But that core and the core all lived in Dale City, between Dale Boulevard and Old Bridge Road, where Coates lived. It turned out when you drew a circle, we were all within a mile of that. And that's what got us going.
I want to say I didn't get a letter. I didn't read about it in the newspaper or anything. That boy knocked on my door, and
Ran you down on the highway.
yeah.
Saw
He
your
got
Kappa plates,
yeah,
blew the horn. He like, who the heck is this?
yeah,
Well, we pulled him over to the side. We got the information. Little did I know that would be our first exchequer,
yeah,
Brother Coates. But that's what got him there. Met Brother Bryant at the meeting. He was our first vice pole mark. Did not know he was walking distance from my house. After this, less than half the distance to Coates' place. Thompson was right around the corner.
true,
Mr.
true.
Coates, I want
Yes,
you to
sir.
give us some insight. What was your memories? Tell us, what did you
Well,
feel?
I saw that question on your list there, and I would tell you when this chapter was started, we started as a very mature chapter. The
Okay.
24 folks who were part Let's see what I have here. 40% of us, 40% of us had over 30 years in the bond. 50%, then the next 50 had over 20 years in the bond. So out of the 24, 90% had more than 20 years in fraternity. So we had a sense of what fraternity meant, and the things that we were able to do when we started out was to establish a bond and to work in the community. Just last week I was down at the MLK oratorical uh, performance at Mount Zion Church. And what I remembered is that one of the first things we did in the community was that there was a lady living down there in a house that needed some work done in the yard, cleaned up and all. She was in her 80s, and I think her son was like in his 60s. But one of the first community projects we did is we went down there and helped clean this lady's yard and around her house. Art talked about the guide right and what have you for him and Robert. But even before then, we had this program called Each One Teach One, where we would bring kids together on Saturday mornings to help them with their schoolwork. Another thing with Ron Thompson himself, Ron would go into the school systems or go to the youth detention area, and he would be working with kids there. So, we started a mature organization that understood what the bond was, and that's all. You always hear me talk about the bond, but secondly, we understood what it was to do service also, and that's the foundation of what we in Woodbridge did.
Yeah, when Ron got that going, when we were getting things going, and I said, well, what are we going to do for community service? And Ron said, I got that covered. I got that covered. Well, it turned out that he had two brothers, Hankins and the other guy. They already had the beginnings of the Guide Right program. So we started with a Guide Right program already there. Okay. Recent and Brother Cole said that said 24 started.
Yeah,
I say
24.
26. There were 24 of us prior to the meeting
Who
during
paid
the
the money and was ready at the
yes,
time?
we all paid. Well, during the meeting, there were two other brothers that were
Yeah.
joined. We did the first service at Quantico. The commanding general at Quantico joined us that day, Brother Stanley. That took 25. Mel Hunter joined us that day. I had asked him and he worked with me. That took us to 26. So we started with 24. We ended with 26 within 2 hours of when we got started, and spread our wings about because we had some real heavyweight brothers then. And like he said, we were very experienced with them, what we were doing. We hit it running and we ran.
Okay, speaking of running, one of my favorite vegans, Brother Robert Palmer, who give us your insight. Mr. Coates has laid it out there that this was a mature chapter. Give us your insight.
Well, let me definitely give honor. Like you say,
You see how I opened the room up, giving honor and deference to all my big brothers online. I was taught that very well. And Brother Harding and Brother Coates, I'm just so glad that you said what you said. I was the young kid on the block. And when I walked in, it was just straight. Everything from 87. And when I walked in that door in 98 and just seeing all you brothers of stature and distinction and the respect that you guys commanded in the room, I knew not to say, I knew my place. I knew my place was to learn. I knew my place was to absorb, because I said one day I will be. But in the meantime, I'm going to sit here and gather and garner all that you gentlemen put forth. My introduction to being a charter member is this good brother on my bottom left screen, Brother Dwight. And I used to come to work as I am now 30 years ago, Kappa, 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 noop, 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 noop. And he said, I'm getting a little tired of all this noise you making. He said, we're about to have a meeting and you need to come on down here. We need to put you to work. You got all this energy. We need to put you to work. I said, all right. I said, what's going on? He said, we're trying to get started. And again, the series of meetings, and I always mention the two names, Brother Dwight Martin, Brother Coates. And I had my little checkbook in my back pocket, and Brother Dwight said, I'm gonna make up a wing, Brother Coates, unless you remember what wing you was in, like 8th corridor,
The one where the jet went through. That's all I know.
Okay.
Yeah,
All I
yeah, it ain't there no more. It is back.
There's no more. But I remember you just looking, those corridors. I was a young man in the Pentagon. Well, I've been there by 6 years that time, right out of Jersey. So I'm looking at the doors and everything, and I'm like, okay. Remember, we didn't have cell phones and pagers, beepers, and all that. And I'm just looking for this room. I said, I want to speak to Mr. Coates. And he came with his military outfit on. I said, sir, here's my check. And he said, all right, let's continue the process. So that was my insight. It took a good brother to see something in me. And that's one of the things that, wow, I'm about to get a little personal now. We had breakfast this morning with my parents. And it's about always giving and not receiving. And those are the things that I've always done. I've written letters for brothers because I always remember someone giving me a chance. Even as an intern, someone gave me advice and I listened. Someone gave me an opportunity and I gave it my all so that I could reach the point of excellence, just to mimic and share to you brothers. I wanted you to always know that when y'all gambled on Robert and you put all your wages on me, I did not fail you. That's why I'm on this call today. That's why I've been here for 28 years. That's why I continue. Sometimes I might be a thorn on somebody's side, but I just remember how I was made in 87, but I remember how you guys polished me up in 1998. And I'm trying to maintain that same type of vigor and excellence now. And I rub young brothers the wrong way. I know this is being documented. And I'll share another personal story. We was at a chapter meeting one day. And you know how the new generations, they shake hands and doing this and they hugging and doing that. Well, I was at a meeting at the PWAR building one day, and I went to shake a brother's hand, and I did all that fancy stuff, and Brother Kroom stopped me in my track. He said, you don't shake hands like that amongst men. Give them the right Kappa shake. And it froze me up, and I said, yes, sir. And now when I go to MTAs, now when I see new brothers doing all that, I say, brothers, one thing that was taught to me by a national brother and a charter member, this is how you shake a man's hand, a noob's hand, and I pull back. So those little nuggets that each of you 4 gentlemen on this line, I'll go to Chapter Invisible. I will never forget you guys. I'm going to hold this banner. I'm going to hold this coat of arms, and I won't call it a shield forever. And I know, again, I was one of the youngest ones on the line. And I just, when y'all look up at the roles and y'all see a program and y'all see my name on it, I just want you guys to rest wherever you are and say, 1998, we still in the game. Because I'm going to say, Coach, you put me in the game as a young boy, and I'm going to stay in the game, and I'm never going to retire. So that's my story. It started with Brother Dwight to Brother Coates. Whole lot of other things was going on behind the scenes with Brother Art Bryan and Ron Thompson and you, Brother Harding, and Brother Mel Hunter. And I'm glad you brought up about Hunter and Stanley, because I used to always say 26. Then I was corrected by saying 24. So we are the true historians, and all our documentation says 24. Should we make a correction?
No. No, because they were not charter members. Mel specifically did not want to be a charter member, and Brother Stanley didn't know anything about us until we showed up for the thing at his place, and he sat through the whole thing, and boy, he was proud to be a part of it and paid that day.
All right. Well, thank you, Robert, for that insight. Now, so that leads us to Brother Dwight. Tell us about some of the obstacles or things that you notice when you gentlemen were establishing the Woodbridge alumni chapter. Give us some of that insight. Give us some of the color of that.
I guess in the early days, since it was a young chapter and we were small in numbers, it was not always a blessing to attend meetings, and especially with Brother Thompson as a pole mark. And Brother Harding could attest to this, because at the end of each meeting, he would always have pole mark comments. And he wanted to make sure that the keeper of records will make sure that he actually annotate exactly what he said. And and you had to get it right. And I think that was the basic foundation, because after Brother Coates left, I took over as keeper of exchequer. And one of the things we wanted to do is make sure that we have a sound financial foundation for the chapter, so that that years from now we try to do everything the right way, basically. And with Brother Thompson leadership and Brother Harden as a keeper of records, we were able to do that.
Thank you for that. So I played sports most of my life, and one of the things that I learned, one of the axioms is, it's not success so much that defines you, is the way that you come back or rebound from a failure or a setback. So, Mr. Coates, I want to ask you a question, and I want everyone to answer this. Do you recall some of the disagreements or the obstacles that came up in the formation of this chapter?
Thinking about it, I really don't. I got to be honest with you. You know,
Okay.
as Dwight said, Ron would talk, and Ron was full of ideas, and he would put them out there. But if you knew Ron, you knew he did it from the heart of a Kappa man. I to this day, I said I never saw a day when Ron did not have on Kappa red. He always had on some. He always had on something red every time I saw him. So, using it from the early days of the leadership, no, we we were a matured organization as a young organization, mature in heart and mature in mind, that I will say we laid a groundwork that exists, that carries us on today. We know how to to create this organization and then make it work. And we had the type of leadership that we were able to do it, and we had the support from the province as well as from international headquarters, but more importantly, locally from the province to make it happen. And if you look back through all the events that we had, and we as the little chapter that we had, and obviously having someone like Bill as a part of our chapter, we constantly had the headquarters, folks from headquarters visiting us, knowing about us. We've always been known within the fraternity, and we've also always gotten those visits from Grand Polemarchs. Can I think of one who we haven't gotten since?
Well, the reason that we had such visitation from them was because, unlike most chapters, we had a person on the international board. Brother
Yeah.
Kroom was the Grand Keeper of Records and Exchequer. He saw us through and made sure that we were on for that. And as a result, Brother Ronald Young was there with us, and every significant national officer for the next decade plus was very aware of us because of it. And then Brother Kroom went on to the Grand Board. And so they were tight friends, they had that Hampton connection, that Beta Chi connection. So as a result, and hey, and they were also past Eastern Province pole marks before they moved up to the next level.
Yeah, and Bill also served as president of the Kappa Foundation, the Kappa Foundation.
Yes, the Kappa Foundation,
and a part of the board. So we had good support throughout the early years to be where we are. And we're proud of that. I am. I think we did well on it. I can remember going to a conclave and went to the Kappa Foundation luncheon. And, at that time, this was years ago. I think it was in Cleveland, if I'm not mistaken. So that would have been the early 2000s. The provinces were getting up, making their donations to the board, to the Kappa Foundation, and then this little chapter from Virginia said, "Hey, we're the Kappa Foundation of Woodbridge with Woodbridge alumni, and we gave more money than some of the provinces did."
So, Brother Harding, I want to ask you, from Chicago, we would say you had some juice, you had the plug. What was it like for a chapter of the size of Woodbridge to have this, honestly, this influence and this attention from IHQ? Tell me, what was that like when you were the province of C. Roger Wilson and something? You had these guys coming in giving you guys a spotlight.
I wish I could. Well, it was good to have that kind of notoriety, that kind of juice. But we also had a lot of competition. We were a small chapter doing that. But when you got AF to the north and Washington alumni to the further north, you need all that just to compete with those two great chapters, because they are heavyweights. Okay.
Yes, sir. All right, and Brother Robert, what was your perspective on that? Because you guys won a national honor. So tell us about that.
Robert.
Oh, what? No, I want to just piggyback off the first question, then I'll transition in. When you said, were there any conflicts? And I think they said it best. When you believe in your leader, it was very little to zero conflict because we had respectful dialogue. Brother Thompson drew us in and we believed in him. We believed in the vision. And guess what was important? Protocol was always established. There was respectful dialogue. And it was always about Kappa first. It wasn't about me, the pole mark. It wasn't about me. I'm a GS 99. I'm about to be GF 1000 in the morning. Nobody brought that to the table. And when we had all hands on deck, and again, they said, and I'm writing this up in my occasion, it's a little peekable, in my occasion for Charter Day, I'm going to talk about the award that we won during our inaugural year as a small chapter. And I see the head nods from my charter brothers. So that goes to show you the impact that we had for just that short amount of time at our first Eastern Province. We was recognized with an honorable mention award. So that set the tone for excellence. So you talk about the 24 plus 2, have some fun with you, Brother Harding. We knew what it felt like to be at the top. We knew what it felt like to be recognized into someone's house and to have dignitaries come into our house. It was always about being respectful, adherence to a protocol, and just more important, it's always bigger than us. It's never about us, as Brother Chapman would say. It's never about me. It's never about you. It's always about Kappa Alpha Psi. And if we keep that first, that's the pinnacle of why we're here. I like a key word that the brother said earlier, especially Brother Dwight, who was our auditor for all those years. Our financial books and the fiduciary of our financial books was always tight because it was always about the community. All brothers was on time with their financials. We just worked as a team. And you know what? The word brotherhood and trust was paramount back then. And those are the things that I just always say now. And again, I just love it because, like I said, I was made in 87, so I was rough around the edges. But when I walked in 98, when Brother Dwight Martin saw something about me that I really didn't see in myself, these brothers right here polished me. And now I continue to thrive. So when you ask me about national awards, we were destined for it. We deserved them because we had a support. Art Bryant, again, was the first Burt V. Watkins awardee, but it was a program that he developed, and it became his own part of the chapters. As it went through all of the guide-right directors, I recall being in the back row one day, and we did things a little differently back then. You were just called upon, as Brother Arthur said, and as Brother Harding and everyone would say, and Brother Coates, no, you're going to do guide right. And I just grabbed it, and it was a passion within me to do right by the young men, to the point where the money that we raised as the chapter, and it was times that we as brothers took money out of our own pockets to help furnish clothes, shoes, transportation for these young men. So when we talk about grassroots, it was easy. Everything was and everything was fun, and it wasn't hardcore. And when I used to hold guy righty meetings, remember back in day meetings in my home, I didn't have much, but we would get a pizza and get the cutter and slice it, a slice in half and slice that in half. But we would build out a program, and we enjoyed every moment of it. And that's why, again, 28 years later, I'm the board liaison for our Guy Right Kappa League. That's why the picture I'll send you guys, me and Brother Coates, where were we? At the Oratorical. So that legacy, it stems from 98. This is nothing that we just started yesterday. And what all our parents have said to us, I'm never going to ask you to do something I haven't already done. So everything that we ask you to do and everything that we are, it's already been done before. We just trying to polish it up, make it better, and just keep it moving. So we are brothers of excellence, brothers of achievement. And that's all that we know in Woodbridge. That's all that we know. We're the best of the best in the Woodbridge, Stafford area.
Speaking of that, I want to ask Mr. Martin, what do you, Brother Dwight, what do you want the newer brothers to understand based on what you gentlemen have shared and what you've built? You had a strong foundation, Brother Thompson. You've had recognition from the national and from IHQ and the provincial level. So, Brother Dwight, what would you charge the newer brothers? What would you tell them they have to protect?
They will have to protect the Kappa Way, which continues to, as Brother Palmer says, not on you individually, but on you trying to do what's right in the community and to help young men become a greater man. In other words, continue to live the values of life, of achievement, and support to your fellow man.
Okay.
You know what I say along those same lines what Dwight said. And I say this all the time. I follow two creeds. I follow the Apostles' Creed and the Kappa Creed. And I said this at my if I may say so myself, my 50-year anniversary. But I said, the Kappa Creed to me is not something I say once a month or 9 times a year, 10 times a year at a fraternity meeting. It's something that's it's within you that you shouldn't be reading it, 30 years into the bond. You got to know you live it and take that as one of those guidelines to being the person that to the question you ask, what does it take for the bond to continue? And you hear me use the term bond more than chapter because that's what we are. We are bond. That is the ultimate. And the creed is what I use to maintain my cachet within that bond.
Brother Hardy, you got some words for us?
Well, I was thinking on to what they did, that one of the things that I thought was important to us as a chapter, but one, we being very professional brothers, everybody didn't try to do everything. If you had a committee, then you ran your committee. You got the people who you wanted to work with you on that. Okay. Maybe you were doing the scholarship. Maybe you were doing the guide, right? Everybody didn't do everything. You got your core, and you and your core was responsible for doing the things that you did. And you all fit together as a whole. But but some of us did more admin, some of us did more service or whatever. Well, the admin is as important as the service, because if it doesn't work, then the whole thing doesn't work. And we were very good at realizing that, and brothers, for the most part, staying within their lane and making sure that, hey, if you needed 10 people for this project, you got 10 people for this project. You didn't make it one or two people. You got your 10, and you were responsible for getting that 10. And that happened with throughout the chapter. We were very good at doing that. We were very good at knowing who you wanted or who should be with you on that. And so the brothers didn't get to stay off to the side and do nothing, because, you know, hey, we pulled you in, and we were good about doing that over the years. And hopefully we're still good at doing it.
So I appreciate that you're talking about inclusion, but I want you to tell the younger brothers what must they protect, because you gentlemen have done all this work and you've built this legacy. Mr. Harding, I want you to tell them, here's what you have to do. What do you expect from them?
Yeah. We'll let the other ones answer that, because, as I said, I never was working very much on the thing with the youth.
Mm-hmm.
That was what someone else was doing. I was doing the administrative stuff along with the scholarship program. So that just was not a part of my norm.
Just real quick.
I got kids, okay, and I'm able to, and my son is a Kappa. Also, he pledged within the Woodbridge chapter, and so we know that. But I wasn't one of those who gave the speeches to the youngsters. I let that go to the people who were much better at it than I was.
I'm gonna let Robert go, but I just want to say the bond, the creed. Stick with the creed. Understand what you're pledging yourself to, even though we don't use that verb anymore, pledge. But that is what you're pledging yourself to, is that creed. Do that. Robert, over to you.
Oh, my man. Thank you very much. Thank you for teeing that up. To everyone on the line, one of the things like I want to go back and talk about, we have chapter standards here at Woodbridge. You guys already said it best. AF do their thing. Fredericksburg does their thing. Woodbridge has its own standards. Uphold our values. We worked hard for 28 years to get us to a benchmark of recognition. And lastly, never compromise your integrity or brotherhood. We have Brother Polmark on the call, and I know he's heard this time and time again from brothers in our chapter. We're tired of hearing how it used to be. Really? Well, used to be is not broke. And until we can make it better, I think we continue to use the foundation. It's like anything. I'm not saying I'm not in tune to your new ideas or way of thinking, but at least allow the foundation to be present. We have built this chapter on nothing but brick and mortar that has lasted and withstood all type of decades, calamities, economic downfalls, depressions. We all know. But us brothers of 24 that started this chapter, is one thing that we believed in, was that brotherhood and unity. And we could pick up the phone and call one another. So as we go through our processes now, because back in the day, we would just pledge. So we went from pledging to a new pledge process, then MOIP, then MTA, and now you got another process. I respect the process, and I think brothers such as us should work with these young men, because everything is what they call micro learning now. They come in, they pass the test, they come out. I think it should be a standard where everyone should get 100%. You can't get an 80% and say you know the chapter's history, but things that happened in the past that caused us to get there. But once the brothers are in, I think it is the accountability of our senior brothers that are on this line to do as we've been doing. And our Polmark is on the line now, and I thank him for allowing me leverage to speak to the younger generations. And I don't want it to be about Robert. When I speak of history. I speak of the Dwight Martins. I speak of the Jim Coates. I speak of the Robert Hardings. I speak of the Arthur Bryants. I speak of the Bill Crooms, because I am now the active voice that speaks, not calling you guys my ancestors, but for my senior leadership. I'm just a vocal, arm at this time. So Those are the things that I would say we need to protect our chapter, that we need to share with the newer generation. And
Okay.
that's how we maintain our legacy.
So those are fantastic perspectives. So first of all, thank you each for saying it. So we're running a little long. We're gonna wrap this up. So I'm gonna, because we want Paul Mark Boyd to have some moments for him to reflect and comment. But here's a question that I want each of you to think about and answer. 20 to 30 years, God bless, still here from now in the future. What, when you look back, what do you want people to understand about the legacy that you left? You, the men who built this chapter. Doesn't have to be elongated. Just give us a couple phrases. Whoever wants to start, please go. Brother Harding, you look like you up.
Well, I would say the Woodbridge chapter, we were started to serve the youth in the Woodbridge area. We didn't want to serve Alexandria Fairfax, which was a distance from us. We wanted to serve in our own community, and so we started a chapter to service that community in the name of Kappa Alpha Psi.
Mr. Coates?
I would say maintain the bond and provide service.
Brother Dwight?
Keep the community involvement very active.
And Mr. Robert Palmer?
And I believe the 24 brothers, we built this chapter because we were committed to purpose, integrity, achievement. And we didn't do this, and it's not about convenience. We did this because we was convicted and committed. And we always going to lead with the mantra and the adage, and achievement in every field of human endeavor.
Yeah.
And our flagship program is our God Right program. And it's truly an honor to each year, whether we win a national award, a provincial award, or no award. If you put forth the effort to these young men in our community, that's what we ask you to do. It's about service. That's why we here on this earth is for service, not for accolades, claims, and notoriety. It's about service. And if we do our part as men of this community, and this community is mixed with the military, DOD, and contractors, and all other nonprofits. We are a professional, educated men. It is our civic duty and our fraternal obligation to take care of the younger generation. And if we can pour into them the way that Kappa and Elder and the founders poured in us to give us the footprints, man, look where we all will be in the next 20 or 30 years. So we do this because we love it, not because of convenience.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to thank each and every one of you. I'm blessed. If you, when you see this, you're going to see me smiling a whole lot, because I'm a fan of each of you, and I'm proud. I'm a legacy, and my nephew just crossed, so he's our third generation of Kappa Alpha Psi. My family, my pops is no longer here. He's in Chapter Invisible as of February 4th, 2022. So having elders like you to look up to and hearing the history. I'm a history geek. This is dopamine for me. Now I want some words from my guy. He's a friend, and he's also our current polemark. DK Boyd, are you with us?
I am. Let me tell you. This call right here, this was so awesome and inspiring. I'm gonna tell you, it's sending chills to my body. I talk to Robert all the time about the history of Woodbridge, and I would tell you that he tells me about everything that happened, but to hear it from these brothers that was a part of what happened, woo, Woo! This right here, Brother Williams, I'm so glad you put this together. You know, when you stepped up to say I'll be the historian, I said, hey, Brother Williams, make this position what you want to make it.
Yep.
And I'm so glad that you took this and ran with it because, man, you know, we got Charter Day on Sunday. And like, I'm very young in Kappa. You know, I crossed in 2017, and I will tell you, this probably has been the best conversation that I have had in my time in the bund. Man. This, this was good. I'm gonna tell you, Kay, I think this video, it needs to be showed to everybody that goes through MTA after they cross. They need to see the video. And you know what? I'm just thinking from an MTA standpoint, we have some times where it's Kappa academic days, and it's kind of like an off day from the schedule.
Yes, sir.
This video needs to be shown during MTA. I'm sorry, not after. It needs to be shown during MTA because these new people, oh man, these new brothers, they got to understand where we started from. Yep. And that's all I got to say, brothers. I appreciate it.
So we're gonna wrap it up, and I want to tell you something, man. Grand historian Kevin P. Scott, piggybacking off of what you said, Paul Mark Boyd, he said, man, I hope people understand this organization was founded by 10 young men who had an idea to build an organization. I'm going to expand that further. 10 young men who were barely out of their teens during American apartheid, Jim Crow, came together and said, we're going to build an organization that's over 115 years old. So take that and put it with what the 24 who decided in 1998, we're going to expand upon those 10 young men's dream and put a chapter where there is none. And we're going to make sure that it's still here years later. So again, I'm smiling because this is historic for us. This is something, and each of you gentlemen gave some of your time and your effort and your soul to build something that we can look back with pride and say, nope, I ain't got to go to a history book and look at somebody who's not here. I got history right here in the meeting. I got these guys right here. So that's powerful, and I want you guys to just think about that. And before I get too far gone, thank you again. If you want to send some pictures, we'll take them, we'll put them together. But God bless each of you. Achievement in every field of human endeavor. And as my nephew says, peace to the good news. And everybody have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. And thank you, brother Paul Mark.
Thank you, brother Paul Mark, brother Williams. And to my charter brothers, man, I love seeing y'all face in the place, man. Brother Harding, are you going to make it up for Charter Day, sir?
No, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make it up for that.
That's all right.
Next date is May 18th, Robert.
Huh?
May 18th.
What's May 18th?
Oh, the golf.
Oh, okay.
Bad swing.